Something invisible is pushing our galaxy, and no one can stop it. Welcome to the epicenter of cosmic mystery. Welcome to Mind-Blown Space, where what we don't understand becomes even more fascinating. Today, our galaxy is moving at full speed. And you know what's the best part? Nobody knows for sure where or why. And if that wasn't enough, there is an unknown event that, when you discover it, will make you rethink everything you thought about the universe. But we'll get to that. Right now, as you listen to this, you are traveling through space at speeds that would make any luxury car cry. The Earth spins on its axis, orbits the Sun moves through the Milky Way, and the Milky Way itself sails between clusters of galaxies whose names are hard to even pronounce. So far, so good. The universe is vast. We move within it, nothing strange. Until scientists notice something that didn't add up at all. It turns out that our galaxy, along with many others, is moving toward a region known as the Shapley supercluster, an area with an extremely high density of galaxies. Logic indicated that we were being pulled there by gravity. But there's a problem. The calculations don't add up. The mass in that region isn't enough to explain the speed at which we're moving. I repeat, the universe is moving too fast and no one knows why. Up to this point, one might think something hidden is pulling us, but the surprise is even greater. What was discovered is not something pulling us, it's something pushing us. And no, it's not a black hole or some playful dark energy. It's nothing. A void, literally empty. Scientists have called it the dipolar repeller. And according to them, what we feel is not a pull, it's a cosmic kick. Since when does nothing push things? Welcome to the universe, where even emptiness has character. And the most unsettling part is that, although this nothingness seems harmless, it's affecting the path of our entire galaxy. A little push here, a deviation there. And suddenly, our place in the universe stops making sense. The universe doesn't stay still, and neither do you. Sometimes we think we're tucked away in a quiet corner of the cosmos, peacefully floating in a soup of stars. But the truth is much more unsettling. We move. Everything moves. And not slowly like in those romantic space movie scenes. We're traveling at absurd speeds, as if the universe is in a hurry. The Earth spins at over 1,600 kilometers per hour. It orbits the Sun at over 100,000 kilometers per hour. And that's just the beginning of this galactic roller coaster. Our entire galaxy, the gigantic Milky Way, moves through space like a rocket without a fixed direction. But here comes the most mind-blowing part. It's not moving alone. It's part of an even larger structure, the Laniakea supercluster, which itself moves toward another even more massive supercluster, the Shapley supercluster. Great. Everything seems to fit, until physicists decided to do the math. And then came the big scientific slap. There isn't enough matter to justify such speed. Look, we have a universe where everything should behave with a certain gravitational logic, but it turns out something is pushing us, not pulling, like some cosmic ghost blowing in our backs. And that something has no name, no mass, and no sense. But still, it's there. At least that's what astronomers say, who have resigned themselves to living with the inexplicable. And here enters the famous dipolar repeller. It's not a star, it's not a planet, not a black hole or a galactic gas cloud. It's, get this, a void. Yes, a place so empty that its lack of mass causes a gravitational repulsion effect, or rather, an illusion of a push, because really, nothing is pushing. What happens is that since there's nothing in that area, everything else exerts more attraction, creating the feeling that we're being pushed away. If you thought gravity only pulls, the universe has other ideas. The best part is that this phenomenon is so enormous, it affects the movement of thousands of galaxies, not just ours. And yet, it's hidden behind a curtain of stellar dust that keeps us from observing it directly. As if the universe, besides being sarcastic, were also shy. When nothingness becomes the main character. Since the invention of telescopes, astronomers have been obsessed with searching for things. Galaxies, clusters, supernovas, nebulas, whatever. But this time, the mystery isn't in what we see, but in what we don't see. The dipolar repeller is not a presence, it's an absence with attitude. A void that, instead of going unnoticed like any decent void, has decided to disrupt half the universe's balance. And it does so from the shadows, or rather, from the famous zone of avoidance. What is that? Basically, it's the part of the sky we can't see because the Milky Way gets in the way with its gas, dust, and desire to hide mysteries. Behind that cosmic veil lies everything we don't want to face, the unknown, the invisible, and the scientifically frustrating. When scientists began mapping the movements of nearby galaxies, they noticed a strange pattern. Some were clearly heading toward the Shapley supercluster, as expected. But others seemed to be moving away from a specific region, as if that zone was so uncomfortable that galaxies decided not to get close. And as good humans do, when something scares thousands of galaxies, the first thing we do is name it. That's how the dipolar repeller was born. But how the heck can something that doesn't exist push galaxies? Here comes an explanation only the universe could invent. If the cosmos were evenly filled with matter, there would be no movement. Forces would balance out in all directions. But if suddenly you remove matter from one side, the balance breaks. Not because there's an active force, but because there is attraction on the other side. So everything seems to flee the void, or in other words, the void seems to push. It's an illusion, yes, but an illusion with real consequences. This bubble of nothingness, about 100 million light-years in diameter, has reshaped the course of our galaxy and many others. It has no official name beyond the repeller, doesn't shine, doesn't emit heat, doesn't make noise, and yet moves gigantic structures of the universe like pieces on a cosmic chessboard. In short, the universe doesn't need monsters to scare you. Sometimes what's most frightening is what isn't there. The invisible push that changed everything. After so many twists, impossible numbers, and voids with a god complex, it's time to unveil the mystery I mentioned at the beginning. That cosmic event so absurd it seems ripped from a scientific parody. Get ready, our entire galaxy is being pushed by a hole in the universe. That simple, and that insane. Forget about alien civilizations pulling us with gravitational hooks. What's really moving us is the absence of something. An immense hole of nothingness, perfectly positioned just right to tip the cosmic balance. Sounds like a cruel joke from the universe, but it's pure physics. Or at least, that's what scientists try to explain without pulling their hair out. The key is understanding that the universe's expansion doesn't happen uniformly. Where there's more mass, there's more gravity, which slows expansion. But in an empty region, without matter to hold it back, expansion runs wild. Space stretches faster, and that stretching causes nearby things to move away. That's how a void ends up acting like a cosmic engine. The most mind-blowing part is when astronomers compared the direction of our motion with known locations of massive clusters like Shapley, they noticed something didn't add up. The push came from somewhere else. And when they traced flow lines, the big surprise was discovering that the dipolar repeller's void explained our trajectory better than any cluster loaded with tons of mass. I repeat, a void explains our movement better than a galactic mountain of matter. As if that weren't enough, the void cannot be seen. It emits no light, has no color, cannot be photographed with a common camera. It's only inferred from the strange behavior of the rest of the universe. It's like trying to catch a ghost by watching how the curtains move. Since this idea was proposed in 2017, the scientific community has been debating, correcting models, and struggling with telescopes that refuse to look where they should. But one thing is clear, the universe doesn't need to be full to move. Sometimes, all it takes is removing one piece for everything else to start rolling. And so, without explosions or portals, our galaxy is on its way to the unknown, pushed by the most elegant engine of all, the void. Thanks for watching Mind-Blown Space. If the universe has left you baffled, subscribe and share this video with anyone who needs a good dose of cosmic reality. See you on the next journey. The lunar scandal that almost destroyed NASA's reputation. At Amazing Space, we explore the feats that have taken humanity beyond the stars. But today we won't talk about glory, rather about a shadow that stained a mission meant to be historic. Imagine this. 3 astronauts step onto the moon, science advances, the world's cameras follow them, yet something shady lingers in the air. A secret hidden in sealed envelopes, a silent maneuver that unleashed a scandal in the highest corridors of NASA. What happened during the Apollo 15 mission not only jeopardized its legacy, but revealed how far ambition can eclipse even the light of the moon. The secret that tarnished a historic feat. In July 1971, the Apollo 15 lunar module Falcon majestically descended onto the moon's surface. The mission, commanded by David Scott, with James Irwin and Alfred Worden as companions, promised unprecedented scientific breakthroughs. Equipped with the first lunar rover, their goal was to explore a mountainous region called Hadley Apennine. It was the future in motion. However, while humanity watched in awe as these astronauts explored a new world, one detail went completely unnoticed. 300 sealed envelopes traveled with them, hidden among the module's compartments. At first glance, the feat seemed spotless. In the middle of the Cold War, the space race was as much a technological battle as a propaganda contest. Every step on the moon was a political victory for the United States and a source of national pride. The astronauts were not just scientists or pilots, they were celebrities. They visited the White House, graced magazine covers, and were idolized by millions. And like every idol, they began to feel untouchable. The pressure was immense. Previous missions had set the bar very high, and the public demanded spectacular achievements. But there was also a shadow. Life after NASA wasn't as bright as promised. Many astronauts discovered that, after retirement, fame didn't pay the bills. It was in that climate, between glory and anxiety, that a silent pact emerged. A German stamp dealer, Hermann Seeger, contacted one of the astronauts with a proposal to take postal envelopes to the moon in exchange for a considerable sum. The deal seemed simple, but its consequences would be devastating. How far can a small object jeopardize a great epic? The mistake that sparked the storm. July 26, 1971. The launch pad at Cape Canaveral trembled with the countdown of Apollo 15. While the world gazed skyward in admiration, nearly 400 seemingly harmless pieces of paper were hidden among the compartments of the lunar module. They were the envelopes of the secret deal. Astronauts David Scott, Alfred Worden, and James Irwin had carefully stashed them away, camouflaged among permitted personal items, exploiting loopholes in the protocol. This was no technical error. It was a conscious, planned decision loaded with intent. The mission was a resounding success from a scientific standpoint. Apollo 15 marked a before and after. For the first time, a lunar vehicle allowed astronauts to travel greater distances on the moon's surface. They collected rocks, installed advanced measuring instruments, and provided breathtaking images still vivid today. Humanity felt closer to the moon than ever. And the three astronauts were welcomed back as heroes. Everything seemed perfect, but the storm was already brewing. The first crack appeared when Hermann Seeger, betraying the original agreement, decided to sell some of the envelopes much earlier than planned. He had promised to wait, but greed won out. He published an exclusive catalog and offered the envelopes to European collectors for staggering sums. What was meant to remain in the shadows turned into a loud scandal. The echo reached NASA's ears. And with it, indignation. The reaction was immediate and harsh. Upon discovering the existence of the envelopes, the agency felt humiliated, as if its integrity had been sold to the highest bidder. The public opinion, which had adored the astronauts as modern demigods, split between understanding and repudiation. Were they visionaries trying to protect their families, or just opportunists in spacesuits? Suddenly, the laurels wilted, and the moral judgment began its slow and ruthless march. The mistake that sparked the storm. July 26, 1971. The launch pad at Cape Canaveral trembled with the countdown of Apollo 15. While the world gazed skyward in admiration, nearly 400 seemingly harmless pieces of paper were hidden among the compartments of the lunar module. They were the envelopes of the secret deal. Astronauts David Scott, Alfred Worden, and James Irwin had carefully stashed them away, camouflaged among permitted personal items, exploiting loopholes in the protocol. This was no technical error. It was a conscious, planned decision loaded with intent. The mission was a resounding success from a scientific standpoint. Apollo 15 marked a before and after. For the first time, a lunar vehicle allowed astronauts to travel greater distances on the moon's surface. They collected rocks, installed advanced measuring instruments, and provided breathtaking images still vivid today. Humanity felt closer to the moon than ever, and the three astronauts were welcomed back as heroes. Everything seemed perfect, but the storm was already brewing. The first crack appeared when Hermann Seeger, betraying the original agreement, decided to sell some of the envelopes much earlier than planned. He had promised to wait, but greed won out. He published an exclusive catalog and offered the envelopes to European collectors for staggering sums. What was meant to remain in the shadows turned into a loud scandal. The echo reached NASA's ears. And with it, indignation. The reaction was immediate and harsh. Upon discovering the existence of the envelopes, the agency felt humiliated, as if its integrity had been sold to the highest bidder. The public opinion, which had adored the astronauts as modern demigods, split between understanding and repudiation. Were they visionaries trying to protect their families, or just opportunists in spacesuits? Suddenly, the laurels wilted, and the moral judgment began its slow and ruthless march. The consequences NASA will never forget. What seemed like a minor infraction turned into a crack that shook the very foundations of NASA. The agency, a jealous guardian of space ethics, had no choice but to act decisively. Investigations were opened, protocols reviewed, and voices rose demanding explanations. The scandal reached so far that the 3 astronauts were summoned to testify before the United States Senate. Under the watchful eyes of legislators and the entire country, they had to justify why they had carried personal items for profit on a mission funded by everyone. Although there was no jail time, there were consequences. They were officially reprimanded, banned from future missions, and excluded from any institutional representation. For NASA, it was a warning. The line between professional and personal had to be clearer than ever. The lesson was harsh. The agency strengthened its internal rules and closed ranks. From then on, astronauts had to carry not only oxygen, but also impeccable conduct. And while the scandal grew in the media and institutional halls buzzed with indignation, in the quiet corners of the scientific and space community, a much deeper debate took place than a simple lunar envelope. What does this story really reveal about the human soul in the age of space exploration? Beyond indignation or emotional defense, the Apollo 15 case forces us to face an uncomfortable question. Is it possible to be completely flawless when you carry the weight of representing all humanity beyond the planet? Astronauts are not machines. They are people subjected to pressures most cannot imagine. They are sent to the moon with the promise of glory, but with the certainty that upon returning, the world will go on, and they will be left behind. That gap between the immensity of achievement and the fragility of being human is the core of this story. David Scott, James Irwin, and Alfred Worden were neither thieves nor traitors. They were astronauts who made a questionable decision, yes, but also a profoundly human one. In a world where the value of a relic can secure a family's future, where the system often forgets its heroes once they cease to be useful, the temptation to leave a tangible legacy does not sound so absurd. Especially when the only thing smuggled was paper. Paper charged with history, yes, but paper nonetheless. It was not military secrets nor stolen technology. It was a gesture that, though against protocol, revealed the desire to transcend, to leave more than footprints on the moon. But that humanity, that vulnerability that made them take a questionable decision, was also what condemned them. Society does not easily forgive when idols fall. And NASA, which had worked so hard to build a spotless image, could not afford its official story to be tarnished. The reaction was excessive because what was at stake was not just 3 astronauts but an entire national narrative. And here is where this story gains an even more powerful dimension, in how ethics, public image, and individual emotions collide in outer space. Years later, many involved acknowledged that NASA might have overreacted. Some internal documents even revealed some understanding of the astronauts' motivations. But the damage was done. The Apollo 15 case became a warning, a symbol of how even the greatest epics can hide cracks beneath their surface. Because when we talk about space missions, we tend to think of numbers, achievements, technological advances, but we forget the most crucial thing. All of it is done by humans. And where there is humanity, there are mistakes, doubts, impulses, light, and shadows. The case left a mark hard to erase. Can an apparently insignificant gesture taint a historic mission? How far should the integrity of those who set foot on lunar soil in the name of humanity go? The questions continue to echo. Those lunar envelopes still circulate today as uncomfortable reminders of an era when heroes had cracks too. And now you tell us, do you think the astronauts deserved such punishment, or were they victims of excessive pressure? Where would you draw the line between ethical and human in space? Leave us your opinion in the comments. We want to know what you think. And if this story blew your mind, Don't forget to subscribe to Astounding Space, the channel where every week we take off with mind-blowing stories that the official history prefers to keep in the shadows. The mystery in the most dangerous place on the moon. What nobody's told you. Welcome to Mind-Blown Space. Here, we don't just talk about the universe, we explore it with you. Get ready to uncover the most mind-boggling mysteries of the cosmos, told like never before. If you've ever looked up at the sky with questions, this is your place. Intrigue on the lunar surface. The moon has always been a strange mirror for humanity, a constant presence in our skies, seemingly familiar, yet deeply unknown. And among all its silent, desert-like landscapes, there's one spot that stands out not for its beauty or craters, but for the aura of mystery and danger that surrounds it, the lunar South Pole. For decades, this region has been the subject of speculation, wild theories, and ever more ambitious missions. Why so much obsession with this specific patch of our satellite? The answer is buried in the eternal darkness of its craters, where not a single ray of sunlight has shone for billions of years. In those frozen abysses, scientists believe they've found the key to the future of space exploration, water in the form of ice. But this discovery hasn't been a walk in the park. What started as a hunch turned into a full-on race between space agencies, each scrambling to be the first to confirm what seemed impossible. And the more this region is explored, the more secrets pop up like unwanted party guests. The terrain of the lunar South Pole is rough, uncharted, and brutally hostile. Temperatures plunge to unimaginable lows, and communications get scrambled thanks to the terrain's complexity. Still, experts are convinced something crucial is hiding there. Not just because of the water that could sustain future human colonies, but because of buried clues in the soil that might rewrite our understanding of the solar system. The lunar South Pole isn't just a spot on a map. It's a challenge, a mystery, and for many, the next frontier. And this is just the beginning of what's lurking beneath the surface. Explorations that ended in shadows. The lunar South Pole has long been the most ambitious, and at the same time, the most feared destination of space programs. It's not a place you conquer easily. The eternal shadows covering many of its craters don't just block sunlight, they also hide the risks lurking beneath its surface. Unimaginable temperatures, brittle soils, and geography designed to challenge any aerospace engineer. The first attempts to unveil its secrets came from the old Soviet Union. The robotic probe sent in the 1970s managed to extract lunar soil samples and, against all odds, detected traces of water in tiny amounts. But that discovery was quickly dismissed as Earth contamination. Still, the seed of suspicion was planted. Decades later, the United States picked up the search with renewed enthusiasm. Probes like Clementine and Lunar Prospector orbited the moon in search of firmer clues. That's when they started picking up unsettling signals. Craters that had never received a single ray of sunlight, zones with huge concentrations of hydrogen. But, as if the satellite itself resisted being stripped bare, no mission could conclusively confirm the existence of water. Even the most advanced space agencies failed in their attempts. Japan, with its ambitious Kaguya spacecraft, ended up crashing it on the surface without obtaining conclusive evidence. The perpetual shadows seemed to swallow not only the light but also the hopes. The challenge wasn't just technical. The lunar South Pole is an environment seemingly designed for total isolation. Communications weaken, temperatures drop to extremes where machinery trembles, and the terrain, apparently solid, can collapse at any moment. Nothing guarantees success. Every attempt is a calculated risk, a battle against an indifferent environment. And yet, humanity insists. Because the darker the place, the more intense our need to light a fire. Water, secrets, and possibilities. For a long time, the mere idea of finding water on the moon seemed more like a fantasy from science fiction than real science. But the signs were persistent. Traces of hydrogen, spectral echoes on sensors, chemical patterns suggesting something more. Then, finally, a mission hit the jackpot. A small probe descended in a controlled manner at the lunar South Pole, and during its fall, sent data that shook the scientific community. There, in that corner of perpetual darkness, were clear signs of water. The news made headlines worldwide. It wasn't liquid water, of course, but ice trapped inside craters that haven't seen sunlight for billions of years. But its mere existence changed everything. Because where there is water, there is the possibility of life, or at least survival, habitable bases, fuel generated on site, autonomy beyond Earth. This discovery completely transformed how scientists and space visionaries began to look at the satellite. The South Pole ceased to be just a mysterious dot on a lunar map and became a tangible promise. A promise of expansion, colonization, human permanence beyond our home planet. The presence of water also raises new questions. How did it get there? Is it in more places than we think? Could it be evidence of more complex cosmic processes? Every answer leads to new mysteries, and the lunar enigma grows. What's fascinating is that the discovery not only serves science, but it also awakens collective imagination. If it's possible to extract and use that water, we could build bases, grow food, and, most ambitiously of all, embark on farther journeys from the moon as a launch platform. The lunar South Pole is no longer just the most dangerous place on our satellite. It is, perhaps, the key that could open the door to the solar system. The hidden legacy and what lies ahead. To this day, the lunar South Pole remains wrapped in a shroud of mystery. We've learned that beneath its eternal silence lie fundamental keys to humanity's future. Yes, we know there's ice, but we still don't know the exact quantity, how to extract it efficiently, or whether its presence is stable or fleeting. The missions that have approached this area have raised more questions than answers, and that, precisely, is what makes it so magnetic for science. The craters sunk in perpetual shadow continue to challenge our technology. We have yet to send a crewed mission to step foot there, but space agencies are already plotting routes. NASA, the European Space Agency, and emerging powers like India and China are preparing missions aimed directly at this enclave. It's no longer just about confirming the presence of water. It's about answering an even more ambitious question: can we live there? But amid every new hypothesis, every improved topographic map, there's something that cannot be overlooked. This dark corner of the moon reminds us how little we still know about the universe, even on the closest celestial bodies. It pushes us to imagine futures where our footprints don't end on Earth but stretch out toward the stars. What other secrets does the moon hide beneath its perpetual shadows? What legacy have cosmic impacts left in these unexplored regions? What stories have yet to be unearthed? The race to the lunar South Pole has become more than a scientific mission. It's a statement of intent for our species. Each new discovery brings us closer not only to understanding our satellite better, but also to redefining what it means to be human in the universe. It's no longer just about exploring out of curiosity or international prestige. It's about survival, evolution, transcendence. Because if the discovery of water on the moon has shown us anything, it's that the universe has resources waiting to be tapped. And the moon, our first step beyond the planet, represents the perfect laboratory to test the future. Imagine for a moment a functional, autonomous lunar base operating on solar power and using lunar ice as a source of drinking water and oxygen. Imagine habitable modules where astronauts don't just survive but live, research, and dream. Imagine even crops adapted to low gravity, sprouting inside sealed greenhouses, supported by Earth technology but under a sky without atmosphere. All of this no longer belongs in the realm of science fiction. We are closer than ever. The development of next-generation pressurized suits, three-dimensional printers capable of building structures from lunar regolith, and artificial intelligence systems that could assist crews in real time, all converge toward the same goal: establishing a human presence in the most inhospitable yet promising place on the moon. But let's not forget, this path isn't free of dilemmas. Who will control these resources? Under what laws will lunar ice exploitation be regulated? How will scientific ethics be maintained in a terrain where geopolitical competition has already begun to play its cards? The shadows of the South Pole not only hide water and ancient secrets, they also reflect our own human tensions, ambition, the need to advance, but also the risk of repeating past mistakes. Still, the potential is immense. The lunar South Pole is not just a cold spot on a dead satellite. It's the beating heart of humanity's next great adventure. It's the stage where everything we've learned and everything we still must invent will be tested. And the most exciting part is that, for the first time in a long while, this isn't just a futuristic dream. It's a near, tangible possibility in the making. In that forgotten corner of the moon, where silence and shadow reign, the prologue to our expansion to other worlds might be unfolding. The moment to look up with the same awe as the ancients has returned. But this time, we do it with the technology to get there, and the responsibility to do it right. And here's where this channel comes in. If you feel that cosmic itch, that need to understand what lies beyond the sky we see every night, you're in the right place. Subscribe to Space Flipante and join us on this journey through the universe's enigmas. Because the next big revelation might just be around the corner, and we'll be here to tell you all about it.